failure of leadership. And you can boo all you want.
What's going on, guys? So, a very interesting turn of events today. The Faith and Freedom Coalition event was going on. All the candidates, for the most part, were there. Ron DeSantis, Vivek, I believe Mike Pence was there as well. And Christie. Chris Christie starts speaking. Towards the end of his speech, first of all, while he's speaking, it's pretty quiet. You can kind of get the sense, once, especially when he's talking about Trump, it just gets very quiet in the room. And then towards the end of his speech, he continues just hammering Trump, just criticizing him, back and forth. And at that point, the audience starts chanting. You could hear some chants, Trump, Trump, Trump. They start booing him. And he almost pretty much gets booed off the stage. He even comes back and says, you can boo all you want, and gets kind of upset about it, and then tries to pivot to, to faith, because, it's a faith event, and, leaves the stage shortly after that. And let me show you the clip.
Beware of a leader who says that when something goes wrong, it's everybody else's fault. And he goes and he blames those people for anything that goes wrong, but when things go right, everything is to his credit. Now, there are a lot of people who wonder, after I was the first candidate to endorse Donald Trump in 2016, the very first, after he made me chairman of his transition, after he made me chairman of his opioid and drug abuse commission, after, and this one will keep you up at night, everybody, after I played Hillary Clinton in debate prep. You won't be able to sleep thinking about that one tonight. And after I played Joe Biden in debate prep in 2020, why am I running for president of the United States? I'm running because he's let us down. He has let us down because he's unwilling. He's unwilling to take responsibility for any of the mistakes that were made, any of the faults that he has, and any of the things that he's done. And that is not leadership, everybody. That is a failure of leadership. And you can boo all you want. But here's the thing. Our faith teaches us that people have to take responsibility for what they do. People have to stand up and take accountability for what they do. And I cannot stand by, and as soon as I've started to be critical, after all of that, and after you offered me White House Chief of Staff, now what he does is call me names and belittle me. And I will tell you, if all you do is disagree with someone, and in return you get that kind of treatment, I've joined a great list of Americans like Rex Tillerson and Jim Mattis and Mark Esper and Mick Mulvaney and John Kelly and all the rest. And you can love him all you want, but I will tell you that doing those kind of things makes our country smaller.
So yeah, Chris Christie has pretty much made his entire campaign just anti-Trump, just attack Trump. A lot of people have kind of likened it to a kamikaze mission. And I think that's probably true. I really liked Christie in the beginning, back in 2015 when he first announced. I was following him. I was listening to him. I really liked the things that he said. I liked how kind of bombastic he was. I liked that he was kind of no nonsense. I liked that he can hold his own, that he's strong. And my intention was to vote for him, before I heard, when Donald Trump when it was rumored that Donald Trump was going to run, I thought it was a joke. And when I watched Donald Trump's first initial speech, he brought up so many things that no politician has ever brought up before. Things that, like the wall, building a wall on the southern border. He was bringing up like actual solutions, like the trade deals. Nobody ever talked about how bad our trade deals were. And, a lot of the stuff that Trump said, it just made sense. He wasn't a politician. He's a businessman. That had a big draw on me. And so I moved my support from Christie to Trump. And, we saw in 2015 how good of a debater Christie actually is. He's a very intelligent person. He's super sharp. He's quick on his feet. We saw how he completely destroyed Marco Rubio on the stage. Really showed everybody that Marco just wasn't ready to be there. And I think he's a threat in some aspects, but in other aspects, I don't think so at all. And I'll explain. I think he's going after Trump. In his campaign this time around, it's just too much about Trump. I think he needs to come up with his own ideas, and he needs to explain, like a lot of people like Trump. They like the achievements that he's done. A lot of people, including myself, we were making way more money in Trump's economy. We love Trump's policies. So what are Trump's weaknesses? He's like a fire starter. He kind of divides people because of his attitude and whatnot. He hires the wrong people. We saw what he hired Jeff Sessions. That turned out to be a disaster. He hired Mike Pence as VP. Then Pence didn't have the courage to stand up for him on January 6th. I could have told you that about Pence, by the way. I mean, I knew that from the beginning. The guy had no backbone at all. Another thing was COVID, like the fact that Trump didn't fire Fauci. He let Fauci go. So those are all things that if I was Christie, man, I would be going after him for that. I wouldn't be going after Trump for his character. They've tried that already. The American people don't. There's people that care about his character. Most of them are Democrats. The people that don't really care about his character, Republicans don't care. They care about his policies. They care about the results that he's bringing. And independents are kind of in between. And the independents, I still feel most independents still care more about. They still vote more with their head than they do with their emotions. So I do think that going after Trump's character, I think that's a losing argument. I think that I like how aggressive he is. I think that if he was going to beat Trump, he had to do it the first time. It's too late now. He could have gone after Trump so hard. He could have just decimated Trump, and it really caused a problem for him during the debates. And Trump hadn't proven himself yet. He could have pointed out a lot of things. And, at that time, the American people, Trump was painting a picture, Well, now the picture's been painted. It's pretty damn good, And so I think the fact that he's going after him for his character and whatnot, I think he's going to get his ass kicked. And you can kind of see it here. He's focusing too much on Trump. He's calling Trump a loser. He's criticizing his record. Republicans are smart, okay? We know what the truth is, and we appreciate the truth. I can think of a couple scenarios right off the top of my head when Trump was debating Hillary, and she confronted him on his taxes and the fact that he pays little to no federal income tax. Trump was like super honest with his answer. And that was refreshing. That's like, damn, that's what we need.
Did you use that $916 million loss to avoid paying personal federal income taxes?
Of course I do. Of course I do. And so do all of her donors, or most of her donors. I know many of her donors. Her donors took massive tax write-offs.
So have you not paid personal federal income tax?
A lot of my write-off was depreciation and other things that Hillary, as a senator, allowed. And she'll always allow it because the people that give her all this money, they want it.
And I know another time he was on the debate stage. They confronted him about a particular issue. And Trump was like, yeah, you know what? I changed my mind on that. And, so many, like, no politician ever really, I mean, I've never heard of a politician ever admitting that they changed their mind, or he didn't say that he flip-flopped. He just said, like, look, I thought one thing, now I understand it's different, and what am I supposed to do? Go the wrong direction now that I know it's the wrong direction? Or do I correct course? Yeah, I'm going to correct course, of course, And it's those honest moments that are the biggest draw, I think, for any candidate, And Christie likes to say that he's pushing for the truth, but he's not. He's pushing like the same agenda that the mainstream media is pushing. He's pushing the BS hoaxes and the lies, and like pushing January 6th, and like that's where he started to lose me. I've listened to him when I think he was working for one of the news networks, and every time he talked, it was just like he was just like another liberal, And if he wasn't a rhino before, he's definitely a rhino now. And, just the other day they were asking him about whether or not he supports banning, children from having gender affirming surgeries, or, basically from chopping off their breast, or, doing chopping off their nuts, And he's like, I think the parents need to make that decision. And it's just that was like, I just couldn't believe that, as a Republican, you're not going to stand up for children. Once they turn 18, they can do whatever they want. But to be okay with and I think the reporter even asked him, so if a 14-year-old girl wants to remove her breast, you think that's fine as long as the parents are on board? And he's like, yeah, pretty much. As long as the parents, the parents make the decision. They know more about it than I do. To me, that's just wrong. These are children. If they can't buy cigarettes, if they can't get tattoos, if they can't vote, if they can't gamble, and the reason they don't let them get tattoos is because tattoos are permanent. Well, guess what? Taking your breast off or taking hormones, those are all permanent things. And so he lost me there. But just getting back on point, I just think that Christie has an opportunity. He's definitely smart enough to actually get to a point where if he ran his campaign right, and if he attacked Trump in a way that would highlight the negatives without insulting, his voters, I think that he could possibly get to the point where it would be like a one-on-one matchup, between him and Trump. I honestly think that. But the way that he's running his campaign, it's just not going to work, and he's going to get his ass kicked, and he's going to go the same way Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio went. And at the end of the day, he's going to walk away from this with his tail between his legs. And, when Ted Cruz lost, when Marco Rubio lost, man, they totally just they just totally bowed down to Trump now, and it's like he's the alpha male. And so I think that's going to happen to him. I think he's going to walk away like a whipped dog when this is all said and done. So, but no, I mean, this is going to keep happening, and I think he thinks he's going to be able to just talk his way out of it, but he just has the wrong stance, and he supports really liberal policies, and it's just not going to work. So, anyways, that's my reaction. We'll see you on the next one.